ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my sketchbook tour. Yes, it's me, Lorenzo, aka the COACHMC, live and direct from the COACHMC studio. Yes, this is the place where we'll help you to shape unique behavior deliveries and where we'll help you to get recognized in the audition room. That's true, but today it's not about acting. No! Yes, it's not about acting, guys. Relax. There must be a time to relax as well. We can't always think about business, right? We need to kind of let our mind loose sometimes. Let our mind wander around. Let our creativity get new inspiration and new sparks. And in order to do that, I'm going to propose a sketchbook tour of one of my latest sketchbooks that I hold so dearly. For 2 years now, I'm filling this brother up with some ideas, with some drawings, with some letters, with some architectural studies and some, cool cartoon strips and some nice almost finished pieces in the middle as well. So I hope you're gonna enjoy this tour. You get a lot of inspiration out of it. If you have any questions, place them in the comment section below. Let's start this game from a different perspective. It's not a sketchbook tour. It's a tour to an inner kingdom. It's a tour to another world. It's a tour into another dimension and to find out what this other dimension can hold for you. A lot of fun, I hope. So let's enjoy this and discover this together. Let me know what you thought of this, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, activate the bell, and leave a like if you thought that this video had any value to you. Show the algorithm what's valuable to you, right? Dun 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 dun. Let's go and see what's cooking. Let's open this fella up. Some characters. As you can clearly see, I started this whole endeavor 2019, so it's not even filled up yet because I'm working currently on 2 different ones, so it's kind of hard because there are a lot of pages in here to fill them up. But yeah, I'm a lazy artist, So this is Booze. Recognize that, Booze. It's B-O-O-Z-E, one of my names back in the days. I grew up partially also like as a graffiti artist, as a street artist, and I was always involved with the guys hanging around in the yard and painting and tagging and all that, and Booze was one of my names back in the days. I don't know why, I kind of heard this expression, this word, when I was very little in a musical, and it kind of caught my ear, and I never forgot that word for a certain reason. I don't know why, like Booze always stick with me, and I love the idea of having that double O that can be turned into eyes in the middle. And the B is a very powerful letter also to begin with. You can make a very, kind of bold statement right from the start. Z and E, it's a nice combination as well. So I kind of like the word, and over time I started drawing it automatically, and then it became one of my favorite tags, one of my favorite names. So Booze. I'm sure there's no illegal piece around anymore, so I can disclose it. Okay, I'm gonna flip this around. Okay, this should work. You see this gorilla type of character, and this is the first character I'm actually pretty satisfied with in the sketchbook. It looks decent, the lines are pretty sharp, I can clearly recognize the shape, the overall form. It's also a funny type of character. Could be also some sort of a Bigfoot character type. What I did, I played with 3 different motives in here, as you can clearly see. He has like a space helmet on that is obviously very small, it's not fitting completely. And then we have like this tube apparatus connecting him with a backpack that is also like a jetpack. It looks like a regular backpack, but it's also like some turbines down here, which I find kind of funny. And then it has these kind of space marine armor, shoulder plates going on. So it's kind of a mix between this science fiction kind of element, space marine element in a funny way, and the Hot Wheels, the Hot Wheel car that is currently driving. I love Hot Wheels, they look great, they got nice shapes, they're crazy, and when I was a kid I used to collect them. Of course, like everybody, building tracks, and nowadays I'm rediscovering YouTube videos where I'm building these crazy Hot Wheel tracks, so I kind of fancy them. I love their shape and how aggressive they are and the cool coloring and stuff, so I kind of put all these 3 different elements together in this character. Yeah, it's not perfect by all means. Maybe I should color it, I don't know. I started this sketchbook really to be a black and white book, but then of course I couldn't resist to add some colors here and there. But overall I feel kind of satisfied with this. Here you can see this dragon type of animal, this giant worm demon type who is in the shape overall is like a T. So it's kind of nice. So the dragon gives us the T. I'll try to do this. You can clearly recognize the dragon kind of building, forming the letter T, and then we have the COACHMC. Again, this is a sketch. It's not quite finished, but what I'm satisfied with and what I can reuse for some, you know, other drawings in the future, what I might use is actually the face of the dragon. I'm pretty okay with the expression. He looks kind of funny and old at the same time. He's not looking too evil or dangerous. He has like a nice mild expression, but still you don't want to mess with this guy. So I kind of like his attitude, and overall I think, yeah, the head and the face and the expression overall works. It's not perfect, just a sketch, but for further projects and other drawings I might reuse this element and kind of modify it and place it into a different context. Who knows? Let's flip to the next page. Another Bigfoot type of character that has like a very wild inner life. What happened to me here, I was watching like an old Netflix series about the toys and the games from the 80s from our childhood, and there was Street Fighter being covered in one of the episodes. So I remembered Guile, the Marine guy, the fighter, and his wild hair. His haircut, I loved it a lot. So I kind of adapted that haircut to this Bigfoot giant ape type of face. I kind of like the posture and the overall look of that giant ape, Bigfoot type of creature. And then I inserted different elements and I kind of built them in like in a almost three-dimensional way. So I'm overall pretty satisfied with this one too. You have like these alien faces in here, these alien vampire, demon faces, whatever. Maybe you write me in the comments down below what you think these these creatures are and where they come from and how the planet is called. I call them Matubas and they are from the planet Kandika, so maybe you have a better name and a better origin. They just feed themselves from vitamin C, they don't eat anything else. So they're kind of funny and they're very resilient and resistant. And even though they're vampires, the only thing they're sucking from is oranges. And they think oranges is the best thing in the whole wide universe. And I agree, I'm from Sicily and the best oranges, they come from Sicily. So maybe the Matubas, they are from Sicily originally, who knows. Here you can clearly see there's like a snake type of creature going on, kind of inserted and integrated and patched in. And there's like very graphically the body, the extension of the whole snake. And there's another guy who's trying to figure out why he's in there. He looks like Logan Paul, by the way. Let me know what you think about it. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's not perfect. I'm still thinking about coloring this whole dude, but I'm not sure right now. I like the black and white three-dimensional kind of aspect to it, and it's very graphic. I could imagine myself printing this also on a shirt or, yeah, on a pillow or something. It could result in something nice. So let's see what's happening. There is a very embarrassing character. Everything went wrong with this one. I love to come back to this page and blame myself for what I've done here. This was very late at night. I can clearly see I was totally distracted. I was not doing the right thing. I was not really paying attention to what I was doing, and something unheard of came off. Initially I wanted to rip out this page out of this book and forget this moment for the rest of my life. But then again, mistakes remind us that we can only get better. And from certain things, I can also say like they're not too bad, but overall I should be blamed for it. But yeah, he's funny though. In a way, there are some things that are okay with some little details of the picture, but overall, of course, it's just a sketch. So here's the next character I'm okay with. This is, again, I guess you can clearly see, is one of the Mabutas. At this time, he's dressed up like a Russian cosmonaut and with high honors and respect. So he's been to space quite often. He has these skull kind of iron magnetic boots attached to him. I don't know why there is a double P. I really don't know. Maybe supposed to be eyes. I can't remember why I did this. Maybe you come up with a great idea. Is this the name of the flaming drop? It's a double P. It's poor presentation, Lorenzo. Maybe that stands for. I think he's funny. I think the character overall is pretty okay. There are some nice details about him, so I'm pretty okay with the overall shape. But what I'm truly satisfied with is this double moon, or this meteoroid here, the asteroid that has like this worried, weary type of face. It looks like a Tim Burton meteoroid in a way, or like a moon or a sphere. And here we have another rendition of a moon with elf-shaped ears. I kind of like that too. And here you have the biggest rocket of them all. Of course, it's a pencil because our imagination is our greatest boost. My favorite word. With the right imagination, with the right speed and right drive, we can achieve everything. We can imagine everything, create everything. So I love this idea of being out in space. And you can see the interesting mixture of, this is a Russian cosmonaut. Here you have some sort of an American type of rocket. Here you have the American Eagle. So it's kind of mixed. Both countries are into space. And this is some sort of hero with Nike shoes on one foot, and on the other foot we will see like a Russian iron strap, because in Russia it's very cold. You need to step through the ice and the snow. All right, let's get to the next page. As you can see, is one of my leading characters here. Again, this is an okay picture, an okay sketch. So the Mabuta is learning to fly, right? Now he wants to discover the whole wide world and wants to see where his wings can take him. He wants to see the vast lands, the beautiful seas, the sun, the mountains. He wants to discover crazy things. And it's like a Zeppelin type of flying object. And then we have like an old ship, like an old sailing pirate ship, like pretty inspired from Pirates of the Caribbean. Kind of mysterious pirate ship, you know, sailing through the ocean, and the whole thing is based on sound. I'm sure in my crazy mind there was like a sort of a metaphor connecting both elements with each other. Maybe sound makes us levitate or fly, because the Mabuta is bat shaped, or he has like wings of a bat or an iron bat. So it's kind of connected. It's about flying, it's about sailing, it's about traveling, and sound helps us to travel. Sound can travel, informations can travel, so maybe that was the metaphor. Let me know if you find another metaphor. One of the engines here is called Flow, that's a flea. I like the idea that a little flea could be the turbine, the engine of such a great vehicle, of such a great airship. Airships were actually a great invention. There was no big noise coming from them. They were just traveling very silently and very calmly through the air. So I like the whole principle of transporting heavy luggage, heavy cargo over long distances with such an flawless effort, with such an elegant effort. I like them a lot. Also the shape is pretty incredible of flying ships, and there are some great old pictures of them like hooking up to big skyscrapers when they're unloading their passengers and stuff like that. It's truly spectacular pictures. You should look them up online. And here we have like this old pirate ship standing for the old law, the law of the sea, and this is the law of the air, right? Law of flying, and sound connects them, love connects them in a way. So yeah, I'm pretty okay with this one too. It's 2020. Here is the Danger Mouse. I don't know what was going on there. In the end, I kind of love this character. It's a funny character, like a dangerous mouse type of, I don't know, kind of robot maybe going on here. Very, very strange. It's my head. I'm sorry for that. It's the COACHMC studio. We have some architectural studies. By the way, guys, if you followed us till this point, make sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us. Also on social media such as Instagram, it's the COACHMC there, where I also have some art, some other adventures going on, where we talk about business, mindset, coaching, acting, and being creative. This is definitely a part of being creative. There is not a deeper intention in terms of, I'm not running a purpose here. This is not for business interests. I'm not selling these pictures per se. I do have a gallery on Saatchi, and you can of course buy some of my art pieces. But what I'm doing here and in these sketchbooks, I'm just curating my passion. I'm just loving to draw. And definitely since I'm a kid, since I was little, I was always fascinated by skyscrapers and buildings and architecture and bridges, connecting things. So I was always drawing. I was always kind of sketching things and thinking about solutions and spaces. I don't know why. It kind of happened to me quite naturally. And since I can remember, I'm always sort of, you know, running around with a pencil or a pen in my hand. Here all of a sudden, after a few characters, we have some architectural studies, kind of block houses going on, and environmental friendly houses that can absorb wind and also distribute energy, air, and everything else in a more homogeneous and more interesting way. So it's also a nice space to live in, and not just functional, but also great to be a part of such a structure, because it kind of inspires you. It gives you something. It's a structure with tension and kind of interesting angles and edges, and I think that's important. If we just build structures and buildings and houses all the times with very flat surfaces that are all uniform and all looking the same way. It's kind of annoying for our brain, and this is some stimulus on how we can create places where to live in, but that also kind of reflects a sort of a character and sort of an inclination of what you like. So kind of, you know, working with impossible or at least very challenging shapes to kind of put people into a different context, into a different perspective, and let them live in more interesting homes so they feel inspired just by being in their surroundings and their four walls. Hear different concepts of how you can create very flat, sustainable places that can house a lot of people, also submerged with green spaces and nature. We can build some green rooftops on top and also create some bubbles of glass where, you know, the light from outside can come in, create spaces on the inside, like inside yards and stuff like that, and work also with arches and ramps that are very soft, where you can actually walk up onto the building and have your free time over there and just kind of maybe do even a little run and just, you know, or a sunbath, and then you just return into your safe home. So everything happens in a very small space and it's usable, it's green, it's kind of embedded into nature and the surroundings. It doesn't hurt the eye, and still it kind of uses space in a very clever and efficient way. Some ideas on rounder buildings, because I think corners can be sometimes, to certain people, they can be difficult to absorb over a long period of time. So rounder corners, let's say, rounder shaped buildings, they help us also to be in a better mood. They calm down our nerves. They don't impact our vision. So it's kind of softer to be in this environment. So kind of experimenting and fooling around with different shapes also. Yeah, some bubble homes. Terrace-like homes, like Frank Lloyd Wright inspired homes, very flat ones that can absorb a lot of people but still bring sunlight in, bring coziness in, bring a lot of space to the people, so it's comfortable to roam around. More open space like designs and studies I'm always fascinated about, to give people space in their homes, to give them a certain amount of freedom and creativity where they can explore and kind of rearrange and remodule places and corners of their homes, and they can redefine them over a certain period of time, and not to be fixed with your environment. So your environment can also change according to your projects, to your mood, to the season. So it's kind of a vivid, dynamic interaction with the place you're living in, and it's not always a static and fixed arrangement of furniture and space, which helps us a lot to kind of, you know, relax and feel safe, at the same time also being inspired and stimulated by our surroundings. Block-shaped, container-shaped like homes that are very easy to install, kind of place into different environments, kind of studying around with that, fooling around with that. Coming back to this terrace-shaped home on 3 different or 4 different levels. Again, going a bit more into detail about how you can arrange the space, how freely you can and loosely you can remodule everything and kind of shift furniture from one side to the other according to your needs, to your creativity, to the guests you kind of welcome into your place and all that. So a home should be that. It should be safe but also flexible at the same time. And again, working with nature, since it's a flat place, it can take a lot of micro culture from its surrounding environment, and it kind of cross pollutes the environment and the house itself. So very naturally the growth will develop according to where your house is embedded in, and that creates a very natural and not artificial surrounding. And so you are merged into nature, into your surroundings, and not a guest and not, or even an enemy. I call this Cake Town. It's kind of thought to look like a cake, like in different layers. It's also a sort of a Colosseum shape type of looking building, where you have those upward going spirals running around the building, and they're actually pretty broad. As you can see, you can plant some trees on top of these kind of spiraling up ramps that are encompassing the whole building, the whole structure, the whole form and shape of the building. So it's kind of interesting to have that green vortex around your building, which attracts, of course, better air and filters air, and you have some green to walk around. You have like your own park. At the same time, this whole thing is layered like a cake, so the distribution of heat is pretty homogeneous. It gives you also the ability to kind of encompass a lot of people on a kind of restricted area that is not too big, not too broad, and include a lot of nature into it. Also, if you think about the single arches, they can be green too. They can be also filled up with plants and moss, which helps to kind of cool the whole building, and it gives also humidity to this whole structure. And again, it filters air. Plus, green is great for the eyes to perceive. It calms your nerves down, your breathing patterns. You're living in a very friendly environment. This is also a kind of a great way on how the buildings are communicating. I feel like sometimes when I see all these great skyscrapers, yes, they might look great, but they're not communicating with each other. They're just standing for something. And this is not standing alone. This is a communicating structure, which again creates also like a, you know, some sort of bond with the other inhabitants of the building. So it's kind of a community in itself, the cake community, if you want to call it so. Here you kind of see the smaller pieces dissected and placed out like this. And here you have like more of a crystal shaped building. I also love crystals, their shapes and their meaning overall. As you can clearly see, it's kind of the whole setting, the context is in this cavern, in this cavity inside of our planet. There is this cave, and out of this cave you can take a peek into this kingdom. And I wanted to create that type of feeling that you're looking out of a cave, like out of a window into another world, into a magical world. So out of something very dark and deep and also slightly threatening, having that look, that view onto a place that looks surreal, that looks kind of magical. Not from this world, even though you might find some elements that you can relate to, but definitely the way it's arranged and how it looks, it kind of transmits the idea that this is not from this world, that it's kind of otherworldly, innerworldly, you might say in this case. So we have some pyramids here going on, and this huge, one of the biggest buildings in this inner kingdom that is placed on this rock, on this floating rock, is connected with this type of bridge. And here you have a giant statue to commemorate a hero. We have different aqueducts and bridges and ways, and as you can clearly see in the back, we have that mountain range that looks quite beautiful, and also pretty steep summit points here and there. So it's kind of a high mountain range. We have waterfalls, beautiful oriental type of buildings that are very tall. Some of them are kind of smaller, some of them are kind of facilities, but overall you have a very homogeneous picture of a very peaceful type of place, of land, of kingdom. We have crystals here in the foreground going on, and some magic mushrooms, or just some mushrooms, some jewels. And then we have 3 different characters here that are representing different entrances, different places, different continents, different cultures. The Egyptian culture, the Hindu culture, the Indian culture, the pre-Columbian, Mexican, Aztec, or also South American culture, and also the North American culture as well. They're all talking about these entrances and these inner earth people and all these encounters they had over time. So I was wondering what a place like this could look like. That's how it ended up to be. This took me a while to do. I started somewhere here in the middle. As far as I can remember, I started doing the more vertical structures at first to have some sort of leading lines that could help me to kind of build up everything in an equal manner. Even though I was sketching it freehand, I was not using a ruler or anything like that. I needed some guidance, otherwise the whole thing would be just, you know, kind of shaky and not placed in a correct way onto the paper. So I started with these vertical columns, with these vertical buildings, and then I was creating some diagonals, and then I kind of built it up, the mountain range in the back, and then I was coming a bit more into the foreground, and then I kind of placed in the middle section. So I was working up and down the whole time. I knew, and that was of course very helpful, that my frame would be pretty thick, that my corners would be pretty filled up with the foreground, so that I just could concentrate with the action in the middle of the picture. That helped me a lot to kind of gain also control over what kind of colors I wanted to use, because I had the intention of not making this too bright and too colorful. Even though it looks very colorful in the end, I'm pretty surprised I didn't use that many colors, actually, to be honest. I just wanted to have the same patterns because I figured that if there was like some sort of inner kingdom in our planet, these people, whenever they would use any building material, they would use what they would have. They wouldn't kind of use too many fancy colors because I don't see the supply. So the colors would always be the same or pretty much the same. That's why I just play with a few colors here and there. On the frame, I just placed my heavy emphasis on gray and then some other nuances, a lot of purple and red shadish and pinkish type of colors. But overall, I tried to make it not too colorful so everything could stand out for itself and had like a logic, a meaning, a purpose, and it would have like the right posture. The building wouldn't kind of dip out of the picture or lean somewhere. It does here and there. You can clearly see I didn't work with the ruler, but to be a freehand drawing, I would say I'm pretty satisfied with the result. It's quite overwhelming. There's a lot of detail. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the picture, but I love details. That's just the way I work. I love to make it very tiny. Sometimes it's too tiny, it's too fractured, and then it's just too much for the eye to bear. Here, I think we are at, at the border of not being too exaggerated and still, comprehensible. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff going on. If I would do this again, I would create a setup that would be clearer and easier to understand and to decipher for the eye right away. I wouldn't make it too crowded and too full, and also kind of think about the proportions a little bit more, because I'm aware of the fact that some proportions, I mean, this building is huge and massive. If that's the same line, it clearly is too big. And what I did in order to kind of compensate that and make it again logical for the context of the whole picture, I kind of created this floating type of rock this building is placed on, and I placed it a bit more in the foreground, working with the colors and the shades. So it kind of looks like it is closer to the eye, even though that's an illusion because it's pretty much on the same level as the other buildings that are way smaller in the background. So it should be further away, but actually by making these little tricks come true, it appears to be closer, so the whole building makes a bit more sense. It doesn't fall out of the picture. The pyramids probably a bit too small. What I did here is I created these lanterns in front of the pyramid here, like in the Valley of the Gods, in the Nile Valley, where you can clearly see the monuments. You're kind of flanking the temples. They give you an indication how big the temple is. So I made these column rows, and I made them quite big actually, compared to the palms here in the foreground. So that will give me the idea and create the illusion that the pyramid is actually quite big. This pops up in the foreground, this stays in the background, even though it's on the same level, but both things are kind of working with each other. So yeah, I needed to balance some things, some elements of this picture out. I think I'm pretty satisfied with the end result. I would do it differently if I would, do the same thing again. Could be also an advice to you guys. I know sometimes we feel the urge to start a drawing. We don't want to get down to the drawing board and use a ruler because that's so technical and so stiff. But if we actually put in that extra effort in the beginning of the drawing, it actually makes things easier for us in the end of the drawing, and then it looks more balanced. It makes more sense, and this you can actually translate for your acting endeavor as well. Even though we don't like technique maybe that much in the beginning, or being too rational and repetitional and mechanical about the process when we start a new character, when we approach a new script, and it kind of feels boring and lifeless. In the end, if you put in some work into the technique and the repetitions in the beginning of when you're developing the character, that actually comes pretty in handy when you are playing the character out, when you're on set. And you will see that extra effort in the beginning helped you tremendously to kind of have a way more organic and natural expression and performance in the end. And it feels like everything is in the right place and happening at the right moment and blossoming up when it needs to blossom up. So that definitely is kind of a connection that I also use whenever I'm drawing pieces like this and not just sketching or creating crazy characters with one color. I reflect a lot about my craft, my acting craft when I'm drawing. I can take a lot of insights from my drawing endeavor that I can use later on for my acting performance, because there's so much to learn, right? Your first line, your first shape that you give needs to be as exact as you can. The less mistakes you make in the beginning, the less smudges you make, the less you have to correct afterwards, the cleaner the picture looks overall, and the less confusing it is for the eye. And the same thing is true for acting. The clearer you are from the beginning, the better you know what kind of shape you like to express, the less corrections you have to make. the more easy it is for your audience to understand what your character is about. And that goes also for video making. The more preparation I put into creating the content for the video, and the more notes I take, and the more research I do, and the more thoroughly I'm writing down everything I got on my mind, the better the video is, and the less somebody else in this room has to work on the editing process. And that's why we have more time to eat pasta, which is very important for artists. The little explanation before I show you my next double piece. You know, this was kind of one of my finishing ornaments I placed on this picture, on this drawing, because I wanted also to represent the Mexican heritage of the inner kingdom. And I had so much fun drawing this. I love this kind of Aztec type of warrior so much. It's kind of accountable, so it's pretty original in terms of the drawings that I found from the 16th century, from what these warriors actually look like. And I was so inspired by them that I decided to dedicate a whole double page to this Mexican Aztec type of Mayan submerged culture as well, because I love the idea of a culture that was submerged and kind of rediscovered. So I created this piece here. As you can clearly see, this is way less cluttered, way cleaner, way brighter, way easier to absorb. There's less information going on. And also the balance between one page and the other is kind of better. It's working for the eye, it's clearer to absorb, and also in a way funnier to see. So this is a pretty classical eagle warrior. This is quite accurate, like to what the original drawings were looking like. There were two types of warriors creating that massive defense against the Spanish conquistadores in the 16th century, Cortés and Orellana and all these Pizarro and all these crazy guys. And of course the Jesuit orders came to Latin and South America. And one of those most feared warriors that defended the Mayan core land, that defended his own territory, was this legendary eagle warrior. Here it is. That was a lot of work as well. Firstly, to sketch him out and kind of place him into the context of this double page. I wanted a very proud looking South American, Latin American warrior, the eagle warrior, with this typical helmet. And one of the historical weapons that they were using, some sort of stone axes placed in sort of a bat, a wooden bat. So you would have some sort of a battle axe here going on. And the eagle, I'm quite satisfied with the wings, the way they are flattering in the wind, the way they are behaving, and the way they are shaded from the sun that is coming in from the left side. As you can clearly see, it's illuminating the warrior's face as well. So I'm pretty satisfied on the texture, on the look. Also, his tunic looks pretty okay to me. Probably the shape is not perfect, but I think it's pretty steady and stable. And the feathers here from different birds that were collected and traditionally displayed on the shield as sort of a remnants of honor and tradition and color, and also the connections with the gods is pretty neatly done, I think. It's resulted pretty good. The eagle here as the emblem in the middle of the shield also works pretty well. I think overall it's a pretty cool picture. On the right side, this is the step pyramid of Palenque. It's actually part of Nicaragua and Guatemala. It's Latin America. Yeah, I mixed in some modern details here. I just played a little bit, fooled around with the shapes. You got some Mexican ornamentation here. The stone corner, like this was probably a temple back then, and kind of now it's a ruin. It kind of has fallen apart over the ages and eons. A lot of, you know, bushes and green has taken place, has taken command over this area. We have to imagine this being filled up back in the days with stone pyramids and other temples and very interesting features and kind of infrastructure, stone infrastructure. We have some, like an old idol, stone idol, slightly corroded over time here in the jungle. The dragon, the serpent as a classical expression of God as power, and a double-headed serpent as well. We have the double-headed eagle in Europe, and Latin America and South America we have the double-headed serpent as the power of wisdom, life and death and all that. Very nice polarity going on. A lot of trees that kind of build up here. Since there were like two legendary warriors in this area, there was the eagle warrior and there was another type of warrior that was very, very important to the Aztecs. And that was the jaguar, because the jaguar is a holy animal. It represents, I think, Pakal. It represents the holiness, the magnifying Lord. And so I wanted to have the eagle warrior and of course also the jaguar warrior. This piece isn't finished, as you can clearly see, but it's getting somewhere. So we have the Jaguar hat here that the warrior is using as a helmet, a lot of feathers going on. Some traditional necklace to protect and also to see things better. We have the Jaguar eyes and its fangs based on the shield. The 3 moons representing the serpent, the moon culture from the Aztecs, a lot of feathers going on here. These Jaguar warriors, they were also painting themselves with jaguar spots. They could camouflage themselves in the forest, in the woods. This is a fantasy weapon. It's not actually traditional or historically accurate or correct. I had to be honest, I was missing space, right? I placed him too much on the left, so I didn't have enough space for like a spear or anything, or another club, another bat. So I kind of gave him this weapon, a skeleton Jaguar Warrior. On the other side of the page, we find this spirit dragon. It comes out of this cloud of energy, electricity that is connected to the Jaguar Warrior. It's like one entity, right? He's summoning the serpent and the serpent is summoning him. So he's using the force of the serpent to enlighten his fighting skills and to defend his country against the enemies. First it's ectoplasmic, kind of cloudy-like, energetic, and then it becomes more and more condensed and more solid and more formally, and then it's actually, as you can see, a clear dragon. Now it's physically tangible. So it comes out of the nothingness, out of the chaos, out of the blackness, out of the creational field, and then it becomes a physical, tangible creature. Let me know what you think about this, how I should finish up this drawing. I still don't have the final solution. I might think about adding something in here, like another stone element, and connect them with a big frame on the outer side, on the outer rim, but I'm not sure yet. So let me know if you got a better idea to finish this piece up. As you can clearly see, I was starting too much on the left here, so I had to compensate on the right so the balance is safe. I would have brought the dragon a bit more to the left side and combined them a bit more into the middle, but that's just the way it is if you just start off with a crazy idea and without like a more precise plan. What I wanted to do here is first of all work in black and white, and also work on my cross hatching, on my hatching, on traditional hatching, a bit more back to the roots, and being very accurate about placing the fine lines and not being too smudgy or too chaotic. Even though if it looks on a more granular level, you can see they're placed pretty neatly and pretty safely. I love feathers. As you can clearly see, I love how feathers behave on paper, how to kind of replicate them and to kind of make them come alive. Different shapes of feathers, different shadings of feathers, different feathers themselves, what kind of dynamic they have. I can see here the cluster coming in, this lightning coming in, so the feathers get magnetically kind of pushed away by the lightning beam, by the lightning force. Even though it's black and white and hatched, it's not too static. I placed his leg a bit in the back. It's not completely right, proportions are a bit off, but I just wanted to emphasize his movement, his dynamic a little bit. And so overall, I think this piece so far is pretty satisfying and it works pretty well. There is this little cat combo. It's kind of inspired from Kung Fu Panda. We have fire and ice, both warriors. This cat is master of the fire. It's like some sort of, you know, tiger, jaguar cat. And this cat here is master of the ice. And these ice crystals are actually forming this cobra. I think they're pretty good. This character is also like a doodle type of arrangement. We have myself in here. The giraffe is one of my most favorite animals. Escape, so the key is the key to escape. I kind of like that. The fireboard, the skateboard. There's this dude boarding here who is, and as you can see, the giraffe is also spraying. Giraffe is also holding Saturn, right? We have the Nike sneaker thing going on here, and then we have some sort of an evil Pac-Man. One love Pac-Man eating everything up, right? Too lazy, my old tag. It's 2LAZY, too lazy. And that was a wrap. Thanks so much, guys, for sticking with us till the end. That was my first sketchbook tour. I'm very proud of this event. 18 months previous to this day, I've announced this tour and now I've completed the challenge. Wow.
that was very slow. But hey, sometimes quality needs time. You know, that's a great excuse. It's actually true. So if you enjoyed this tour, let me know in the comment section down below. Yeah, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you thought that this content was worthy of somebody else's attention, then, you know, feel free and share it with your community. And if you got some art going on for yourself, post in the comment section down below. Let us know what you're doing, what you're currently working on. Share your creativity, inspire us. Let's get better and greater and further all together. That's what a great creative collective is all about, don't you think? Yes, you think. If you want to learn how to draw, then watch Jazza, right? He has a great YouTube channel. Just jump to his channel, because I'm maybe a decent acting teacher, but I'm surely more like a self-taught, very intuitive drawer and painter. So everything that I did so far in my life just comes out of sheer repetition, passion, and just rehearsing and exercising over and over again. That's the only teaching that I will ever share about my drawing methods. There aren't any. I'm just using Copic pencils like everybody else. They're super expensive, but they are the greatest on this planet, whether they are Chow's, Sketches, or the regular ones. You might sponsor me, Copic. You won't do it because I'm not famous, but I don't care. You might sponsor me because, hey, I love you guys. And since I can remember, invested any extra money in your products. So half of my life is in here. It's so miserable. But hey, guys, if you felt inspired by this, let me know. I thought just to, you know, throw in some other content, that this would be nice. And art is part of the creative process. So whether we are actors, whether we are performers, whether we are drawers, authors, screenwriters, whatever it is, we need to kind of learn from all these different talents, from all these different disciplines, to kind of reverse engineer some processes, some ideas, and some instruments for our own craft, and then put it into action, so we always come up with a different and new and great product that is genuine and based on our experience. So it's not about acting all the time. I'm sorry, right? It's not about entertainment industry all the time. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's just about the pure fun that you can have and entertain while you're just expressing yourself in your little chamber of madness. So do that, practice that. Even if you're not great at drawing, just start with an eye, with a face, with a smile, with somebody that you love, or where you want to travel to. I want to travel to a distant place. Just take me there right now. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, share this content with some other people. Jump to my Instagram, it's the COACHMC. I got some art stuff going on there. I got a Sachi art gallery going on as well. And a little playlist about some art drawings that I did. Just support the channel, right? Just support the channel, it's so easy. Okay, see you next time, guys, with another video. And now, I guess, you're ready to relax.